Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you could see it and you could purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today we're discussing a lovely A-Series 1999 Rolex Oyster Perpetual Cosmograph Daytona reference 16520 in stainless steel. This was the last of the Zenith El Primero powered Rolex Daytonas. A rare watch and a handsome watch. This one's in exceptional condition with the latest iteration of the dial for this timepiece, as well as solid end-link bracelet. We're going to talk about all of that. On my 16cm circumference wrist, you can see the watch is easy to wear. It's dimensionally identical to a modern Daytona, which means 12.3 millimeters thick, 40 millimeters in diameter, and then if you measure it lug to lug, the watch is going to measure 46.5 millimeters, but if you include the solid end links of the bracelet, then the watch measures 50.3 millimeters with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. The timepiece is on an AB series, so roughly 2000, 78390A bracelet, which means this was the last of the line, the most modern bracelet ever equipped on this generation of Rolex Daytona. And you can see the same is true of the dial, but first we'll talk about the bracelet because we're starting there. As you can see, polished centers, satin flanks, it's the Oyster we all know and love. It's in excellent condition with minimal play, as these timepieces, of course featuring hollow center links, came with a certain amount of play from the factory. Solid end links though, and this one hasn't gained any more. In my experience, this is about as straight as any of them have ever come. You can also see even then the removable links were fixed by screws, so if you have small screwdrivers at home and you're used to sizing your bracelets, you can do thusly right here. The watch featuring a Rolex clamshell locking Oyster clasp with many individual divots drilled so that you can change the anchoring point of the bracelet for fine sizing. Popping it back down, you can see that there are more removable links on this side, and lock it in place, the double lock. It snaps shut, friction, and then it snaps shut, clamshell. Rolling back to the case, it is a handsome and graceful form, and here's where the Daytona has changed the least from this generation to the current generation. Aside from the lack of a ceramic bezel, this could be the current generation Daytona. Solid end links, the same case profile with its graceful compound curves, but you can see a break between the satin finish of the lug hoods and the polish of the case flank. Of course, the watch a little bit distinct from today's models by virtue of that detail. And then rolling onto the bezel, you can see that the lacquered wells for the numerals and the indices are all completely intact, and this is to your advantage. As you can see, this is the first thing that tends to wear with these watches, as the lacquer tends to go even before the metal does, but you can see everything is crisp and full, dark and deep on this bezel. Now, it is a tachymeter bezel, and in units per hour you can choose whether it's going to be miles per hour or kilometers per hour when gauging the speed of a car or an aircraft over a mile or kilometer. Now, of course, we could start the watch up if I wind the watch up, and it's powered by the El Primero caliber 4030, which was a Zenith-built Rolex caliber. Rolex had specific ideas about how the El Primero should be customized for its use, and so the 4030 retains the 31 jewel architecture, the bidirectional automatic winding, and the 50-hour power reserve of the standard El Primero, along with the lateral clutch and column wheel architecture. And you can see that lovely and evocative column wheel stagger when I start the seconds hand. But Rolex made significant changes. The Rolex changes included a step down of the beat rate from 36,000 vibrations per hour to 28.8 for greater reliability and use with standard lubricants. Rolex also changed the winding system, removing the overly complicated and spring-intensive El Primero winding system for the Rolex Perpetual system with its twin Teflon-coated reversing wheels. It's more durable and watchmaker-friendly as a result. Rolex also changed the balance architecture, fitting its own balance with microstella adjustment nuts, a free-sprung architecture instead of a mobile stud index on the El Primero, an overcoil hairspring instead of a flat hairspring, and thus the watch, adjusted in 5 positions and COSC chronometer certified, became a Rolex 4030 rather than a Zenith El Primero caliber 400. Now, the dial overall of that, and by the way, the watch is water resistant down to 100 meters. The dial features a white base. It is white and not silver. It's a semi-panda with black chapter rings for the individual registers, as well as polished chapter rings outside the primary black rings. You have white gold hands, white gold Rolex crown, and white gold indices. And you can see that this is the Swiss-made dial. A few things changed on this dial from the debut in 1988 until the last in 1999. We went from a floating Cosmograph dial in the earliest models to a 5-line print. We went from 4 hash marks between the 5-minute marks of the minute register to 3, as you see here. We went from an inverted inverted 6 on the chronograph hours register to a right side up 6, and we went from several different versions of tritium signature to Swiss made and a Luminova dial, and this is one of the last of the line. It's the upright 6, it's the later hash mark, it's the 5 line, and of course it's the Swiss made with the super Luminova, so this one still glows. Sapphire crystal, as always. This was the birth of the modern Daytona, a model that launched in '88 and ran until 1999. It was the first 40mm blanket chronometer certified, blanket screw down crown, blanket automatic Rolex Daytona, and it launched a modern day classic. These are scarce, as Zenith's total production of movements back in the 90s was between 25,000 and 40,000. Some of those were the Rolex, some of those were for Zenith's own watches, some of those were for other customers, some of them were elite calibers. Break up what was left for the Rolex project and you realize why these Daytonas are so scarce. See this one and make it yours on the watch box. Rolex Daytona 16520.